Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of my rebirth of my FLUVAL spec. Now, you'll have to excuse the mess. I'm quite spread out here, but it's all going to make sense as I explain it as we go along. So I've given the tank a nice clean out, rinsed it all out. I've got my heater and pump in there. I've got my water conditioner ready to go. As you can see here, I've got a crypt here in a pot, which is pretty much overgrown now, but I'm going to keep it in the pot for now and take that out in the near future. I've got that bit of shrimp wood. I still can't remember what it's called. Hopefully someone out there can tell me. I will look it up, and I promise I'll tell you the name of it in the next episode. I have my FLUVAL soil ready to go. I have my filter sponge all rinsed out. Now I've just put some of this coarse polyfiber sheet for the top section, just to absorb some of the dirt and muck. And in the bottom part, I have right here some media that's been sitting in another tank for a little while. So hopefully that's got some good bacteria in that, ready to go. I've got my almond leaf, which is all cleaned up. I've got my original piece of sort of root wood ready to go. That's been all cleaned off again. And over here I have my plants. Now I have 3 different plants in here, as well as some moss down the bottom, which we'll have a look at soon. I've got some water ready to go. And yeah, I've got a few tools and everything ready for this. So my first task is I'm actually going to put in some of this FLUVAL stratum. So I'm going to stop the video for a moment, and I'm going to open this up and chuck it in. But before I do, let's just have a little bit of a look at the bag here and look at what I've purchased. So this is some, they call it volcanic soil. Now I believe it's from Japan, the actual soil, which is pretty cool. Now this is a 2 kilo bag, and as you can see, my local fish shop, it was $22.95. So I'm not sure how that compares to elsewhere in the world, but look, I think for 2 kilos of something like this, I think that's probably a pretty good price. But usually here in Australia, things are pretty expensive. It says it stimulates strong plant growth, promotes neutral to a mildly acidic pH, and it's for plants and shrimp. It's very cool packaging. Definitely spend a bit of money on the packaging, but I think when you go into the store and have a look at all of these kind of soils, they all they all seem to spend a little bit on the packaging. Okay, so of course on the back it has a Japanese flag and a volcano. So collected from the mineral-rich foothills of the famous Mount Aso volcano. So there you go, I was right. FLUVAL stratum is the ideal substrate for stimulating the growth of aquatic plants in freshwater aquariums. I won't go through the whole description, but it seems to be sort of the kind of grains that allow roots to quite easily sort of move through, which is a good thing. And it's got micronutrients in it as well, which is great. And it just buffs the water to neutral to slightly acidic. So my water's around the neutral, sometimes a little bit lower, so I think that should be pretty much perfect. And I think it's going to be, the soil itself is pretty sort of airy and movable, so shrimp should quite enjoy running amok in there and having a bit of fun. Now it does say directions here: gently rinse FLUVAL stratum in a large colander. Now I have been told that it's actually best not to rinse it. So I think, yes, I think I'm not going to rinse it, and I'm going to let the filter sort of do that for me. I'm tipping the water is going to be pretty murky for that reason. So I am prepared for that. And I may do a sort of a little bit of a water change, perhaps the next day or something, and just get all the muck off the plants. But I think I would rather leave it unrinsed off, as I think a lot of the nutrients might come out of it if I do rinse it, which I think would go against sort of what I'm looking for. But having said that, it does say to rinse it, but I'm not going to. So I'm not going to say that that's definitely the way to go. But I did see in the reviews a lot of people don't rinse it, and seems fine. And I think I'm going to go down that route. Yeah, pretty happy with it. Now, down the bottom it has a sort of a guide. So that gives you a bit of an idea for your size tanks. Now I think it should have, now it says minimum 3 to 4 centimeters, so that's, I believe, about an inch minimum. And that's sort of what I'm going to go for. At the front I'm going to go for a bit smaller layer, and then towards the back obviously a little bit more. Now I plan to have my moss right at the front because I want that to be a little bit of a showpiece. So that doesn't need obviously the nutrients like the rest of the plants do. So hopefully at the back, where I'm going to put like the valve, for example, it's going to be a little bit deeper and give that, yeah, a good bit of depth to grow and spread out a bit. So, all right, so excuse me for a few moments while I chuck some of this soil in. Then I'm going to be chucking in my filter in the back, and I'm just going to add in perhaps enough water to come through the little overflow gap there at the back. That should give me a good amount of water, I think, for planting. And yeah, I'll sort of put in my little bit of my timber and my pot plant, and yeah, sort of go from there. So I was just putting my pot plant away there. Okay, so I think I've got everything now. I think I'm pretty much ready to go now. As I also plan, I'm just going to put a few root tabs in the very back, just to give those plants a little bit extra nutrients. Now, it's probably not necessary, but when I have had planted tanks in the past, I've loved these root tabs. Sometimes you'll pull out a plant and it'll just be completely wrapped around the root tabs. I really recommend those for people, especially if you're just using gravel. I'm not sure I really need it for this FLUVAL stratum, but I'm going to give that a go anyway. Now I've got some towels ready. I've got a bit of plastic down here in case I do a bit of spillage. When I do the plants, I'm going to show you guys, have a bit of a look at the plants here on the plastic bag. And I've got my tools over there for my planting. And I think I'm pretty much ready to go. So thanks for watching this episode 2 so far. Now I'm going to yeah, pause this video for a little while and do a little bit of adding to this tank. And I'll see you in a short bit. Bye for now. Okay, so just before I pour any in, I just thought I'd give you a look. I've just opened up the bag, obviously, and that's how it looks. It's sort of just little dirt sort of granules. Looks pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to add that in now. Okay, so I've added in a little bit more than I was going to, but I was thinking I really wanted to give a good amount of depth at the back there for these larger plants to grow. So I've probably added in, say, 1.5 inches at the back. And as you can see, I've sort of sloped it down to the front. Now my plan, if I can get a bit of a better angle here, my plan is to have the larger plants sort of coming around here and to the side, with the wood in the middle and the crypt sort of around here. And then at this front corner here, have my moss. Now, this is situated next to the couch here where I play a lot of PlayStation and watch a lot of TV. So I'm sort of going to be viewing the tank from this angle. So yeah, I'd like to have, when I do get some shrimp or fish, I'd like to have a lot of activity in this corner. And sort of almost having this side as a background as well as obviously the filter side. But I'd also like to have it quite viewable from the front as well. So I think I'm pretty happy with that. So as you can see, I've sort of sloped it up to the sides, all the sides there. I've got a bit of a shallow point here. So in this corner here is definitely where I plan to have my my Cameroon moss, which is really cool moss. So I'm going to add in some water now, probably up to about this kind of a level. And going to see how messy this gets. It's pretty amazing, this stuff. It really does feel like soil. Like it I know that's such a stupid thing to say, but yeah, it really does feel like soil, like you would buy to pot some plants in or something, and actually has a really nice smell. Yeah, really impressed with it so far. So let's see how dirty it gets when I put some water in. Now I have already put the filter in with the media. I'm going to pour the water through the back so that it just gently comes out the front here and doesn't disturb this too much. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, so as you can see here, I'll just move this towel out the way. It's actually not too murky at all. It's a little bit murky. I was very gentle. Luckily with this tank, putting the water through the back it has it gently sort of come out and hasn't affected the soil too much. I think once I start digging around in there, it's going to probably be a different story, but pretty happy with the water level now. Now I'm going to put in my wood and just position it to where I think I'm going to like it, and I'll give you a bit of a look at that. So on to the next stage. Okay, so here's my piece of timber, which is that sort of tree root. Just trying to get a better angle of that. It's come up really good. I love the way I've sort of buried it into the gravel. It really looks like it's a part of the gravel now, coming straight out of the floor. Now I'm sorry about all the reflections here. It's my fault. Once we get it all up and running, we'll get much better angles of it. But yeah, and I've put the bit of shrimp wood right underneath, which sort of holds it down. I had soaked it and boiled it anyway. But that's really cool. It's like a little, we can pick it up there, but it's like a little tunnel that goes all the way through. I think the shrimps are going to love that. Or if I get a pygmy cory or something, they'll love going into that. Really loving the look of this tank already. I'm pretty happy with the level of the water at this stage. I may just add in a little bit more water, I think. But yeah, so far I'm pretty happy with it. So what am I going to do next? Okay, so yeah, I might just add in a little bit more water. Then we're going to have a quick look at some of these plants, and I'm going to attempt to get them planted in there. Okay, so let's add in some more water. Okay, so let's have a look at a few of the plants I'm going to be adding in. Now, this crypt is huge. I think I bought one that was a little bit too big, though we are going to transplant it later. My idea is actually to transplant this sort of into the fork of that wood later. But for now, I'm going to attempt to have it on sort of this side, I think. But this is something I'm going to be putting in probably sort of last, just to work out exactly what I'm going to do. I might actually put that midway through. Just going to put that back in some water. Okay. Take two. Okay, so this next one is a rather frilly plant. And it is Ambulea, I believe it's called. Oh, well, here we go. Ambulea. Now it's sort of a stem plant. It looks quite nice in the water. Right now it doesn't look so flash. But these leaves sort of all fan out. Now I'm planning to put this in the sort of back left corner. Let's see what else we have here. Now I also have some Bacopa. Now I really like this plant. I've had this before. It's pretty cool. Just a bit of velvet come off there. It's sort of a long, sort of tallish plant with these sort of broadish, sort of small leaves though. It's quite a nice colour. Don't know if it's really coming through on the camera there, but it's a really nice green colour. Now hopefully this goes well in this tank. I've had it before in a couple of tanks. One tank it went really good, and another tank not so well. So he's hoping it goes all right here, but I'm going to pull this one apart. I'm going to plant those stems individually. The Ambulea might plant as a clump. And then last of all, something that will be familiar to pretty much everyone out there that has planted tanks is of course valve. Now I have two valves here. And I've already got some runners that have fallen off. This is actually going really good, this stuff. Now, I might, as you can see here, I don't know if I can get it on the camera, but there's a couple of runners that have come off already. So I may put those in a another tank. But the part I'm really excited about is my moss, and if I can get it out here without damaging it, that's this moss here, which is a Cameroon moss, I believe it's called. And yeah, it's very cool. I think it's also called zip moss or something like that, because it sort of looks like a zipper. It's really nice, and that's going to be hopefully my sort of little feature right in the front corner there, which I'm going to hopefully see a lot of shrimp in now. In the shop there was shrimp all over this, so here's hoping that that's going to be a good draw card and something to really watch and keep an eye on. I'm just going to put that back in. These other ones I think I'm pretty much ready to go. So as you can see, I've topped up the water a little bit more. So my plan is to have the obviously the bigger plant, the bushier plant, sorry, in the corner there, the val all along the back, and the bacopa in the right hand corner there, and that'll give me all this front area here to go with my crypt and my moss. So hoping that comes out. It's sort of a picture I can see in my head. How good it's going to look afterwards, I'm not too sure. And of course got my little bit of almond leaf here, which I think I'll just sort of stick down the back there once everything's in and planted. I was thinking about putting it underneath. It actually folds up to like a little bit of a cigar shape. I was thinking about putting it straight underneath. Actually, I might do that. I might also stick this underneath this main bit of driftwood. Get that right down the bottom there, and that of course leaches a lot of tannins and good stuff for fish and shrimp. And the shrimp can nibble on it as well, which is great. So I think I might do that now. I might put that right underneath, and then I'm going to start putting in the plants. So this is going to be a little bit of a messy job, and of course I need both my hands for that. Really excited about this stage though. I know it's probably going to look pretty damn murky even when I fill it up, put the light on, but I think we're going to get a pretty good idea of how the tank's going to look. So I'm going to yeah, do my valve first, my 2 lots of valves. So I'm just going to get those ready. And I think everything else will work around these plants once I work out exactly how they're going to look. At the end I might need to trim them down a little bit. These are quite big. They're in quite a large tank. But I think they're going to look pretty good. So, okay, so I'm going to leave that there for the moment. I might put these in, and then we'll have a look how much the soil gets stirred up when I've done that. I'm going to take the labels off and get my, well actually I probably don't need my tweezers for these, as these are quite large clumps, but yeah, so we'll see how they go anyway. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so as you can see, I got a bit excited there. I was on a bit of a roll, so I've put all of those plants in there with the exception of the crypt and the moss. And as you can see, it's pretty damn full at the moment, so I'm actually going to fill it up a little bit more and then try and work out where I'm going to fit in this crypt and moss. But so far it's come along pretty good. Okay, well, everything is now in there. Moss is there in the corner, and as you can see, it's sort of sprung to life. Looks awesome. The pot's there. I've got a lot of plants in there, so I'm now going to fill this up and just going to clean up a little bit. I'll get the heater going, the filter going, and chuck the lights on, and we'll have a look at the finished job. Hopefully it looks pretty good. I know there are a lot of plants in there. I think I'm going to get a bit of dieback, so I think they will open themselves up a little bit. But yeah, we'll see how it is with the light on. Okay, so this is the stage I'm up to. Now the tanks are quite full, as you can see. I've tried to leave this side as open as possible so I can sort of see any activity when eventually, of course, that I do get any fish, or shrimp for that matter. And then this far side is your more plant intense, I guess you could say. Like so. So now what I'm going to do is give a few of these plants a trim back, mostly the val, of course. See if I can get a bit more light penetrating. I might take a little bit more off the crypt as well, or may even move that over a little bit. But yeah, I think it's looking pretty good so far. So now just going to have a bit of a trim. Okay, well I think I've done pretty much all the trimming I'm going to do for now. It's getting pretty late, and I'm pretty happy with the light now. It seems to be penetrating pretty much all of the areas here with the plants. I've trimmed this all the val down, taken a few leaves, I should say, off the crypt, and yeah, I think I'm still not 100% happy with the location of that pot, but light is sort of getting down now and penetrating and getting down to the moss, which is probably the most important thing. But yeah, really wanted to keep this sort of left corner here fairly open, so I can put any food in there for the fish, or a bit of cucumber, or have somewhere pretty open where I can actually see any shrimp or fish that I get. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with that corner. Rest of it is yeah, it's definitely pretty dense. I'm going to put in some plant food now. I did put in a few of my root tabs as well, just for a little bit of added nutrients there. As you can probably see, I did put the almond leaf underneath, and as well as the shrimp wood, which I will definitely tell you the name of that next time in episode 3. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. Obviously the water's very murky at the moment. The heater's going, the pump's going, so I think probably tomorrow it should look a lot clearer. But anyway, in the next episode, I'll show you where I'm at. I'm not sure when that episode will be. It might be a week from now, it might be a few days. Just when the water's a bit clearer and perhaps I've done a little bit more maintenance. And we'll see how things are going. But yeah, for now I'm pretty happy with it. It's definitely very green, which is cool. Really happy with the moss. This is one of my favourite mosses I've seen. And yeah, cannot wait to see a whole lot of little shrimp running amok around this little area here. It should look awesome. I may move a little bit more soil around as well. We'll see how we go with it. But yeah, pretty happy. So thanks for watching this episode, and see you in the next one.